Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Tuesday, August 22nd. Yes, I usually release these on Monday, but guess what? I took some time off this weekend and I didn't shoot the video until Monday, so you're getting it on Tuesday. Okay. And the new transit doesn't start till Thursday, so you're still in time. And if you want to see what's happening right now through tomorrow on Wednesday, you can go and watch last week's transit report and I'll fill you in on all of that. But stay tuned for the transit that is starting on Thursday. Okay, let's dive in. Before we dive into the specifics of the sun and the moon, which is what we do focus on here in the transit reports, I do want to note that we are in retrograde season. And what that means is that a lot of the outer planets go retrograde for big periods of time, somewhere between 25 up to even 50% of the year. They appear to be moving backwards. And so we're in retrograde season where most of the outer planets are retrograde or they're going to go retrograde soon. And then we also have Venus is retrograde and Mercury is about to go retrograde. So we're going to have a period of a lot of retrogrades, a little kind of moving forward and back. And the thing to know about that is that you might be feeling a little bit like you're slogging through things. It might feel like it's a little hard to move forward with things. You might feel a little like, how can I get things going? Because retrogrades are inviting us to reflect, to review, to take another look, to restore things that maybe have broken down, to reclaim things that have gotten fragmented and rejected, to restart things that maybe we started before but then we let go. Okay, it's like all those words. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? So it's a good time to go back and look at what's happening with the planets and to look at what's happening in your life and to think, how can I use these retrogrades really to my best advantage? I did a whole series on the retrogrades of last year. And if you want to get a sense of what this is all about, you can go and check out that playlist. It's not so much about exactly what's happening this year, but there's still a lot of it that's relevant if you would just kind of want to understand what's going on with retrogrades more. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive into what's happening with the sun and the earth. So with this configuration, we are moving out of the sensing circuit, which has been where we've been this last week. And then we're moving into the tribal circuit, which is where the 59 is. It's in the defense circuit or the sustainability circuit of the tribal circuit. And then we're also moving into individual circuitry and the knowing circuit, which is where the 55 is and where the earth is. Now, even though they're in two different circuits, there's actually a beautiful simpatico relationship between these two different gates and the earth and the sun lighting them up. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So the earth is lighting up the gate 55. It is emotional energy. It's on the emotional solar plexus. And as I said, it's in the knowing circuit. It's individual circuitry. The thing that's relevant in particular for our conversation today is that individual circuitry is really plugged in to the creative intelligence of the universe. Okay, it's really a mutative energy. It's an energy about change. It's about being able to receive the downloads and the guidance that's coming from superconsciousness that is going to help us in our lives today. And so the knowing circuit is really all about that. And the knowing circuit creates this kind of deep sense of knowing. You didn't learn it anywhere. Nobody told you about it. If somebody told you, asked you, well, what's your source for that? Or how can you prove that? You wouldn't be able to do any of that because this is not that kind of energy. And yet it's a vital and really large part of the human design system. So the gate 55 is known as spirit in traditional human design and faith in quantum human design. Let's unpack what this energy is about because it really has to do with our faith that we will have what we need when we need to have it. It's a faith in abundance. It's a faith that spirit has our back. It's a faith that we are part of a much larger cosmos, of a much larger world, and that we can receive what we need when we need to receive it. It's like the story of manna, right? Where the Jews received what they needed for that day. And it was not about accumulating. It was about saying, I have what I need for today. I have the nourishment I need for today. And it takes a certain amount of faith to be able to live that way and not freak out, especially given that in Western culture, there's so much emphasis on accumulation, right? Accumulating, getting ahead, which is really tricky because there's so much debt, right? So what we want to be able to do is to kind of relax. And this is what the earth is inviting us to do, right? If you think of the earth as a consciousness, because it is, and so is the sun, is a massive consciousness. And the earth is Gaia, right? It is a consciousness that has been creating life for us for billions of years. And we as human beings are kind of the new kids on the block, actually. You know, the plants have been here a lot longer than we have, and bacteria has been here a lot longer than plants. And we're an outgrowth of this incredible synergy and dynamic exploration and creativity of the bacterial world, which eventually created the plant world. And then eventually we got the animal world, and then we got the human world. So we're kind of the new kids on the block, really. And we're an outgrowth of all of that early development. And when we can remember that the earth provides everything for us that we need, it really does. We get locked into this sense of scarcity, that we don't have what we need, that we're not going to have what we need, and therefore we need to accumulate, right? Which is the driving force behind consumer culture, right? Makes us want to buy stuff. When we get hooked into that, it's hard. We get FOMO, we get fear of the future, we get fear of not having enough and all of that, right? So we want to be able to step out of that because it's kind of a gnarly belief system to be living inside of, right? It creates a lot of anxiety and fear. A really great resource for this is The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. She has a wonderful thesis about enoughness, about how we need to learn how to experience enoughness so that we're neither in scarcity and we're not in accumulation, right? We're in this kind of state of grace that we can step into where we're like, I have enough. There is enough. There's enough for me. There's enough for you. And there's enough for everyone. And we need to start recalibrating ourselves around this understanding that there is enough. There may not be enough of certain substances like precious metals or oil under the ground or a variety of other things like that, right? There are limitations in a physical world in that regard, but there is more than enough food on the planet to feed everybody right now. It's not that we don't have enough food. It's more about how it's distributed, right? Because it lives inside of a market economy. But there's more than enough food for everybody to eat on the planet. So it's our job to start unpacking our belief system around what's enough. Do I have enough? Do I have faith that I'll have what I need when I need to have it? If I don't have that faith, what's in the way? What am I believing instead? Right? And unpack that piece. And that's what the earth is really inviting us into during this transit. It's saying, hey, I'm here, I'm supporting you. There is enough. And you'll have what you need when you need to have it. How would your life change if you were to open up the possibility that you could live with that mantra, that saying, that affirmation being the thing that runs you? It's an idea worth considering. Then we've got the sun lighting up the gate 59, which is on the sacral. And as I said, it is in the tribal circuit, so it's largely about relationship. And it's on the sacral, so it's life force energy. In traditional human design, it's known as sexuality, and it definitely has a sexual component to it because life force energy is sexual energy, right? And then in quantum human design, it's been renamed sustainability. And this is even the sustainability circuit. And so let's just take a look at what that means. In this channel, the 59.6, which is lit up on this diagram, but it's only going to be here for a day because Mars is going to move out of the 6 really soon. But that channel is known as the channel of mating in traditional human design. It's also kind of known as the channel of love and war, because it is where there's this tension around how do we be with each other in our close relationships? How do we work out the attractions and the things that repel us, right? Because the six can have a kind of intense energy. It's also known as friction or impact. That can definitely happen in this channel. But what we want to be thinking about is, how are our relationships sustainable? How are we providing for ourselves and for others? How are we providing for the tribe? What's being provided for us? And are the ways that things are being provided, is it sustainable? Is it long term? Is it something that is going to support the tribe, not just this week, not just this month, not just this year, but 10 years, 20 years, 100 years into the future? And this is one of the big questions that we're looking at in our world today, because there's a lot of things that we're doing that aren't really sustainable, right? And then there's a lot of really exciting experiments and different projects that are going on that are moving us in the direction of things being more sustainable, and also things being regenerative, meaning that we're going and we're healing places that we can't just like hope to keep things the same. We actually have to go in and be proactive and heal certain things, like cleaning up toxic waste, right? We can't just say, oh, well, let's just move on, even though lots of oil companies do that. Not so good, right? We need to clean up the toxic waste. That's regenerative. And when we do that, we make things more sustainable. So there's definitely things that need us to be more proactive in order to create more sustainability. And that happens in really every area of life. And the thing that we can rely on is that this earth is saying, okay, yeah, you have what you need when you need to have it. And when you can rely on that, then you can receive the insights that you need through that knowing circuit, right? You can receive the insights that you need about how do we become more sustainable? How do we heal our world? How do we create an environment that's going to support you and me and all of us, and also all of the living world, right? How are we going to create environments where the forests thrive again, or where the birds re-emerge as a major force on the planet again, right? There's these things that can happen, right? When we regenerate, when we go beyond being sustainable to look at how we can be proactive, so that we can kind of up-level the possibility of the health and the thriving of our planet, right? And we are intimately connected to the state of our planet, right? I mean, one of the reasons we have a lot of challenges with chronic illness now, especially in the United States, is that our environment is degraded. So we're all really interlinked, right? We're really interlinked. And so what we can do to work with ourselves and with each other, and here in this tribal circuit, to make our individual relationships and our individual families more sustainable, but then another layer out, right? Our close beloveds, and then another layer out into our communities. How can we do that? Because any of the work that we want to do around this is best done locally anyway. So the invitation to you during this transit is to look at, number one, what's your belief system around having enough, and having what you need when you need to have it? If you've gotten locked into scarcity, if you've gotten locked into believing that you need to accumulate, and to kind of unpack that so that you can be more plugged into that creative intelligence and receive the guidance it wants to give you. But then also, how can you really kind of upgrade and up-level your own relationships and how you're showing up in those relationships, so that we are able to provide, yes, for everybody now, but we can set up our world so that it's sustainable, so that we can provide for the tribes that are coming. Like if you have kids, right? Or you have grandkids, or you want to have kids, to know that you can help create a world that's going to be sustainable and regenerative and thriving for them as well. I want to let you know about a new live series that I am starting in September. It's on the first Thursday. And it's called Ask Me Anything. And I will put a link where you can register for it. It's free. And it's just an opportunity for an hour Come and ask me anything that you want to about human design, about deconditioning, about becoming more sovereign in your life. It's just an opportunity for me to become available for those of you who are in my community. I can't promise to be able to answer everything, but I'll do my best. And I'd love to have you come. So if you're already inside of the Becoming Sovereign virtual community, then the event is there. But you also can just register for it through Eventbrite if you choose. So I'll put that there at the end. And I hope to see you at Ask Me Anything on September 7th. All right, many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.